And welcome back, everyone, to What If, the My Hero What If, part 2 of What If Midoriya had a Zanpakuto, the Ichimonji edition. So last time, I was about to say Naruto, but Deku had, found the family heirloom Zanpakuto of Ichimonji. He ultimately awakened its power to protect Uraraka. And he's going to now go to UA. So we should really just catch up now to the physical exam and what that could allow. And unfortunately, it's kind of hard because Deku's sword is technically a separate. It's part of his quirk, but it's not. It's one of those things where he can't carry the sword everywhere he goes, the brush everywhere he goes. He can just summon the ink when he needs to and just make an effect happen. But that's really where the extent of his abilities lie without Ichimonji itself, at least in this. I also can't take names away with that particular ink. Which now begs the question, how would Deku's ability work in a physical exam like that? Deku can't enhance himself at all using the ink. He can't take his own name away and then give himself a new name. That's not how Ichimonji works. Yeah, hell, that'd actually be horrifying. If Ichibei took his own name away, well, then he's screwed. Because then even then, Ichimonji shouldn't work then. But what he can do, at least in a couple of these, is augment the situation. Like with that sidestep trick, he can basically just bounce and start bouncing between them. With the long jump, he can again do that. Just hit the seal he makes, or the painted on. I guess seal is the best way to call it, and just bounce on it again, kind of rebound the ball off his hand, I suppose. But otherwise, he's not going to be doing very well. This is not a Zanpakuto that would lend him aid in a test like this. I don't see Bakugo doing all that or getting all that angry with Midoriya here. A, it's not like Midoriya is really showing off at all. B, it's not that he was hiding his abilities. Bakugo just never thought his abilities were all that impressive. And so I would imagine Deku, in terms of the ranking, is somewhere in the lower quarter of the class. He's he's not dead last. He's probably out of the 20 of them, maybe in say the 16th spot, maybe a little higher, to be honest. Because a lot of their quirks, when you really break it down, weren't really all that helpful in the bell test. Still gotta get the Naruto stuff out of my head. In the physical exam. But that would lead us into the villain hero test. Now, does All Might have an interest in Deku in this version? Again, as far as seeing someone with the attitude to be a hero, maybe, but I don't, if I'm going to be honest, this is not a Deku that I think he's going to have that level of interest in. And because of that, that's going to change up the dynamic quite a bit. For example, will All Might stop the match before Bakugo actually kills Deku? Well, let's find out. The test is set. Deku and Uraraka are paired up. I still think there's no reason that Deku wouldn't have the same outfit. Maybe it's augmented with a big shoulder strap for Ichimonji itself, because it's part of his kit. But, yeah, he'd still probably have the same overall design. They'd be walking around. Deku is nervous. He's saying, we're going to have to be careful about dealing with Bakugo. And one thing I think, though, that's been added to his kit is that he probably also has... what's the best way to put it? He maybe has these built-in giant seals that, like how Ichibei kind of wrote the word conceal and hid something. And he's probably got different messages on them, so he can just kind of funnel his ink and have an automatic thing on call when he actually needs it, instead of just going like having to do that. I mean, I'm sure he's gotten quicker at it, but doing that, I'm sure he's gotten quicker, but in a pinch, he's probably got a couple set asides, pre-made ones. And so he sees, and that's when Bakugo goes up, Deku! And then, Deku, not having enough time to react, just pulls out one of the big seals that says block. and just Baraka, get out of here now! And it's like, and even then, just he's hearing it start crack against the against the effects of Bakugo's attacks, and even Ichimonji's going like, "Boy's attack is quite impressive indeed." Midoriya, what are you going to do? I can't use you against him. I don't want to like actually cripple him. And so Bakugo's just looking at him. What's the matter, Deku? You finally get a chance to prove how strong you are. Now you're running away. And say, wait, no. And then he's just attacking him. Just basically has to like just dodge him all the time. Sorry. Just started yawning all of a sudden. Holy crap. I got a decent amount of sleep last night too. So I don't know why I'm yawning all of a sudden. Maybe I need to eat something. Who knows? But Midoriya's just like uses his ink, and instead he's kind of making like a tie with the ink, just wraps around the ink, kind of binds it Bakugo temporarily, but just hits Deku. He pulls out his brushes. He's like, "What you gonna do? Oh, what are you gonna do? Paint me? Give me an autograph, Deku? Come on, is that the best you can do?" It's like, I don't want to hurt you, Bakugo. What you say? And then Deku's just got things like, how am I gonna? And then he's kind of looking at his uniforms, like, what are those? Gauntlets? What do they do? I was like, not quite sure. And he talks to Ichimonji in his head real quick. What if I just hit the gauntlet? Would that qualify as an arm or the gauntlet? It's like, and that's a good distinction, honestly. If someone's got like a piece of kit on them, like some sort of armor on them, and it's like wrapped around their arm, does it take away the effect of the arm? Like, does it cut the arm into an R? Or if it's, say, a gauntlet, would it just be a ga at that point? I think it all depends on. I think you can choose, frankly. That makes it a bit broken, but honestly, it would make sense. I think you have the ability to choose what is what the effect, what is the affected thing you're hitting, especially if it's large enough for there to be a distinction. Like, obviously, you have a guy's arm hit. It was just an R after that. But he's wearing clothing. You'd think maybe the cloth would be no. But the fact is, there is a separation between the gauntlet and Bakugo's arm. So, Midoriya is being careful. It's like, got you! And he kind of just taps the gauntlets as best he can, while trying not to hit Bakugo, and barely succeeds in doing it. However, as he's able to get some distance, he's able to say, Deku, you think you can run from me? You know what these are? They're gaunts. They've been how my quirk works, right? I create nitroglycerin like sweat and light it up for explosions. These things have been storing up all my sweat over the fight. If they built it the way I designed it, then it should be it should be storing up my sweat for one big boom. And now All Might's watching this, about to be like, no, wait, I gotta stop this, and he would stop it until Deku's like, sorry, Bakugo, but you're not really gonna get the effect you want. It's like, what? And sorry, but Ichimonji's ability does a lot of things, including the ink it produces. But one of the things that Ichimonji also does is it cuts the name of something in half every time it strikes it. So I struck your gauntlet 3 times. All those are now is G's. It's like, I'm sorry, what? You're cutting names in half? My gauntlet. Why do we let them do the talking? And then Deku's just staring him down. And now All Might's like, well, wait, what does that? But what does that mean, young Midoriya? Midoriya, what exactly do you mean by that? I'm prepared to stop this, but I want to know what you mean. And to which Deku says, a name is what gives something its power. Without the full capacity of that name, that's not going to be much more effective than that's going to be less effective than his normal explosions. You think I'm going to belie that crap? Deku! And then Deku just brings up Ichimonji and just guard and just what? And sure enough, it barely even breaks the wall. Like, Bakugo broke that wall. It just shattered that wall, just incinerated it. But here it's just like, what? And you can tell, it's like, that was even weaker than one of my normal explosions. Like, what the hell? And it's like, sorry, Bakugo, I told you. He's like, you? And they just holsters Ichimonji. And just like, I don't have to, sorry, Bakugo, but I don't have time for to be dealing with this. And he just, like gets in front of him. And Deku lets him go. I'm gonna kick your ass back, Deku. He's like, sorry, Bakugo, but I can't allow that. And all of a sudden, he just raises it. What? I can't move. What is going on? And just, sorry, but you let me get in close. And and Deku's just, got his hand there, and it's just bind written on there. And so he uses the capture tape. Villain captured. Man's like, that boy, he is something else. I lost outright to you, and Deku. And so Deku gets up there, helps Uraraka out, and they would ultimately win the day over Ida, I'd imagine. Though Ida was doing the best he could, Uraraka needed Deku's help to beat Ida. Then they spend the rest of the day watching other matches. Bakugo is fuming. Sees Shoto and what he can do. Not only did I lose to you, she realized I'm no match for even that icy up bastard. So enjoy your win, because it's the last one you're ever gonna get. Now Buck, and again, Midoriya is not going to bring up One For All because he doesn't know anything about One For All. And Midoriya's just looking. I was like, He's like, that boy certainly has a chip on his shoulder. That's for sure. It's like, yeah. But I'm sure, he'll be okay in the end. You never give up hope, do you? No, not at all. And so, hooray! Days go by, and then they have the USJ incident. There we go. And once again, they all kind of get sent to their respective areas. Deku nearly falls. And he's stuck with Sue and Mineta. They're trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to tackle these guys? Now, Midoriya, quite frankly, could just use Ichimonji's Shikai and just, blacken and just hit them with ink, but he'd have to be mindful of the two people near him. That's probably the only big issue with Ichimonji, is that the ink is non-discriminate. If you were to splash someone with ink, then they'll lose their name, even if it's an ally. Midoriya knows this very well, but I could probably wipe out all these guys if it wasn't for the fact that I'd have to be able to swim. Not to mention that Ichimonji probably doesn't work underwater. At least this real-world version equivalent, not spiritual weapon. Spiritual weapon-wise, I doubt it would matter as an actual Zanpakuto. But in terms of using it as a sword that's functioning by real-world physics, I do not think the ink would really work underwater. The name-slicing ability probably would, though. So Midoriya just has to think, because couldn't you use that? Well, you're able to manipulate, create a whole bunch of stuff with it. Could you create a platform or something? It's like, I don't think so. Well, then what are we gonna do? And it's like, all right, there's one thing we can do. And he just maybe starts to rob the ship of its name. And basically it kind of starts crumbling apart as bits fall off it. And Midoriya suddenly grabs onto it. It's like, hold on. Splashes on there, enough time, giving it enough buoyancy to float temporarily. All right, Sue, when I land, I'm only gonna have a few seconds before I sink. You gotta grab me then, right? And then blacken, and it's like, get the kid, blacken Ichimonji. And then the ink comes up, and just, what the heck is it? Get this ink off us! What's going on? They're kind of just floating there, Now, I'm gonna be nice and say no one drowns here. But theoretically, especially with some of those villains who have fish-based quirks, theoretically he could take their ability to breathe underwater, swim away, and they could just sink like a stone. But for what it is, being nice and just say, yeah, no. He hits a bunch of them with it. He's like, what's wrong with you? And then Mineta tries to bind him up. In my sticky balls! Sue comes in and rescues him. We're okay. That was really cool, Midoriya. Your quirk's really powerful. Thanks. It's not only as strong as my creativity. It's only as strong as how I use it, though. And that's when obviously Shigaraki comes in and says, "No, leave Sue alone. Block it." And it's like, Ichimonji. It's like, no. And the ink comes in. Now, should note, depending on where, I'm not saying I'm going to hit Shigaraki in this video, but if I did, well, that changes up the entirety of this video. But if, say, Ichimonji hit near the beginning of the final arc, Shigaraki, the one who fought Stars and Stripes, well, then there is a little bit of leeway that Ichimonji wouldn't work because of how Stars and Stripes New World Order quirk didn't work. Because he had two different personas, basically. He is like the one known as Shigaraki, but Shigaraki had another identity in there as well. Excuse me. So there is room for some leeway in there. However, in that said, Nobu gets hit. Nobu, what's wrong with you? It's like, sorry, but what you call Nobu's gone. And they say, get away from Sue. And he has to back off. Say, what, Nobu? Do something. Nobu! What's going on? Korigiri, what's going on here? It's like Nobu can't hear you anymore. He can hear you. He just can't respond to you. You keep calling him by that name. That name is no longer applies. What do you mean no longer applies? What did you do? I took his. It's like I just said. I took the name no longer applies. I took his name away. He is no longer with the Nomu as you know him. What? The ink from my brush can literally rob thing's name away. And he can't explain this quirk again. No, Shigaraki, don't. We can't let the ink. If that what he says is true, we cannot let that ink touch us. Otherwise, we are done for. No, I wanted to kill All Might, and then All Might shows up. I am here. No, All Might's here. Come on, we have a chance. Like, no, we'll have another chance another day. So forgive me, Master Shigaraki, but we need to go. Damn you, kid. Damn you. Everything all right here? Everyone okay? It's like, yeah, we're okay. Deku actually saved us. Don't get cocky, idiot. He's like, I see, but young Midoriya, really? That's quite impressive of you. Excuse me. Oh, man. Suddenly just got the burps. That's quite impressive, really. You took down... what about this fellow? Well, he doesn't have a name anymore, so he shouldn't be a problem. It's like, really? Interesting. We'll take him in for questioning. We'll do it as best as we can. As long as you are all safe. That's what's important. And now this would be a point where he is kind of now looking at Midoriya a little bit. Like, he was able to fight off all of them on his own. Impressive indeed. Could he have been? Perhaps he could have been a candidate at some point. Perhaps he could be an option. But I'll have to see more of him to be sure. And that's where I think we're going to leave it off leading into the sports festival. Now, real quick, Ichimonji's not going to help him out, I think, really at all in the decathlon, not decathlon, but the race. Except for, again, maybe throwing out a seal, going bounce or whatever, and maybe doing that. Midoriya might be able to get number 1, or very minimum number 2. Also, he's not going to be using Ichimonji in the, is it the cavalry battle, I think it's called? Just because he's not going to use he's not using Ichimonji's Zanpakuto, the actual physical blade. He doesn't want to hurt anyone. Using his ink, he might be able to like throw up some like concealing, camouflage guards or whatever. So they'd be able to pass that, no problem. It then comes down to Midoriya actually fighting these guys, and I'm going to say that, oh god, why am I so tired all of a sudden? For the part 3. Until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You know what? Hold on. I'm only doing this because I'm a little low on battery. So give me 3 minutes here. The fight with Shinso, obviously, I can never remember the tail guy's name, but he warns him about that. I actually don't see Endeavor really approaching Deku, because Deku's not like All Might in this, so he's not seeing the parallels between them. But in terms of Shinso, that's a really good question. He says don't answer him, talk to him, or anything like that. But with the Zanpakuto spirit that's with him, that might be able to not snap him out of his stupor. So maybe that would work. Maybe. The question is if Deku wants to bring Ichimonji into these fights, and it says Ichimonji, no, I'm not going to bring you into these fights. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to risk hurting anyone out of my classmates. And that's the big thing is like Deku is not bringing. He's trying really hard not to actually permanently end someone. Like with that first match, it was one of those things where he wanted every option he had available, but after realizing the risk he poses and the fact he just barely got away with it, I can see him not bringing Ichimonji into a class fight anymore. So he really just has his ink to use. And unfortunately, as strong as his ink might be, and the fact that he might be able to protect the barriers or bounce or maybe rebound, basically kind of it fires the attack back when he does that at Shoto. I don't see Midoriya really having an easy Midoriya without the use of a Zanpakuto, without the use of any of his like long range abilities that other Zanpakuto would give him, is not going to be having a good time. He also doesn't have the physical strength he has because of All for One. All he has is his ink, which can create certain effects that can protect him. And maybe if he's clever enough, to create offset effects like rebound and fire the ice back at Shoto. But really, without him being able to basically hit Shoto with like a bind attack or something like that, he's not going to be able to beat Shoto in this version either. In fact, he's at a much bigger disadvantage without the use of the actual use of his Zanpakuto. If he had Ichimonji, could he win? Sure, absolutely. He could theoretically beat everyone in the verse with Ichimonji alone right now. But because of who Deku is, the nature of who he is, and the fact that he doesn't want to hurt anyone, that's not going to happen. Unfortunately, I see Deku kind of reaching Shoto to some degree. Like, he's able to protect himself and just kind of call Shoto out. Like, I'm giving it my all, and you're only going half-ass. Like that. Wow, how disrespectful is that to everyone else here who's trying, and you're barely only going at 50%? As like, I will not use my dad's quirk. It's not his quirk. It's your quirk, your power. Like, I could still see that conversation taking place. But I don't see the finale taking place the same way. I think Deku just gets frozen at the end of the day. But Shoto still maybe has a little bit of that. Yeah, that's right. It's my power, and he has to think about it. And then the rest of the sports festival would go the same. So really, we would catch up with the Hero Killer arc, which now I will end at this point, because there's some big differences here. He's not going to be training with Gran Torino, so who's he going to be training or doing his work study with? Find out next time on My Hero Academia. What if? Like, comment, share, subscribe. See you for the next one. Later.